Mary Shillong, who after obtaining a gold medal in a postgraduate course in public administration, decided to do a bachelor's in education to pursue her childhood dream of being an educator. Currently, she is working with St. Anandram Jaipuria schools as head teaching, learning and training. She has a wealth of experience in the academic setting, having worked with some of the leading public schools of India and abroad, like the Assam Valley, the British School, Loreto Convent, Kolkata, the Sri Ram School, Gurgaon, and the Mombasa Academy, Kenya. She has been with the Sri Ram schools for over 13 years in different capacities, including working with the Sri Educare Limited as Manager Education and Training, and subsequently as Head of Special Projects in the SRF Foundation. Some of her recent assignments include formulating and implementing programs in schools and colleges, curriculum activities, policies, teacher recruitments and trainings, auditing schools, evaluating programs of students, and supervising and appraising performance of teacher. She's leading, I'll say this, that she is leading the socio-emotional learning development thing in colleges also. From last 3 years of ma'am, we have started this social emotional learning center for colleges. And this has benefited our PGDM students while they are there in the 2 years and while they appear in the interviews. So ma'am, without taking too much of time, I'll just over to you, ma'am. I'll pass on the session to you. And I'm there in the entire session. So students, you can ask the questions or you can unmute yourself in the session and you can ask anything to Shikha ma'am. Ma'am, you need to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Vartika, for a very generous introduction. And good afternoon to all. And I'm so glad that we are using a Zoom platform. Now it gives me an idea to do an activity sometimes in the middle of the session also. So I'll start with my screen sharing first so that we can start the session straight away. Okay. Is my screen visible to all?
Ji, ma'am.
Yes. So can I have more participation from the participants, from the students? I want this session to be very, very interactive. So I request everyone to, if possible, switch on your cameras. So I'll be able to also, interact with you virtually, looking at your expressions. But this is a very important session where we also see to your reactions, emotional reactions. So requesting people to switch on their cameras.
Few of us, if we can switch on our camera, Ayushi, Richa, okay, Prateek, Prabal, Abhishek, Raman, okay. Kshitij, Mehak, if we can switch on. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. That's very sweet. So why are we starting with this session today? Because, times have changed and we are facing a very, very unpredictable future. And we call it a VUCA world. So what is VUCA is a synonym of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. So this is the world we are facing. There's so much of, volatility around. People are so volatile. Tempers are frayed all the time. Uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen next. Whether the third wave is going to come, how is it going to affect our studies, our future, complexity, too much happening. And people don't know how to take the next course of action. Ambiguity, because we don't know what is candid, what is not. We can't discern what is right from wrong because there's so many things happening at the same time. So this is the world we're facing today, a VUCA world. So challenges are galore. There are too many challenges, You have psychological challenges, technological, socio-emotional challenges, cultural challenges, financial, because of uncertainty around. So a lot of challenges. So how are we going to tackle these challenges? Are these challenges only for others, or they're also, for us also? I mean, we are part of this world, and we also facing some of these challenges. So that is why it is so very important to be socio-emotionally evolved. And this kind of, when I say socio-emotionally evolved, you need to have this development, socio-emotional development, which we'll come to know by and by what it is. So what is socio-emotional learning, and why are we doing it at college now? Why not in school, or why not at early years, or why not later? Why now during your orientation at JSB? So I just want to highlight the mission of JSB, why we want to orient you all towards socio-emotional learning, because Jaipuria School of Business is committed to building a robust socio-emotional learning curriculum. It may not be there as a standalone curriculum, but it'll be the elements of it, you'll come to know by and by, will be embedded in all your lectures in some way or the other. And in a subtle manner, it will be delivered to you all. So idea why we want to have this curriculum is to create a balance between mind and heart, and ethics as bedrock. So, very, very important takeaway, that is how to create a balance between your mind and heart, how you don't get, you get carried away by your heart, but also use your mind, and how we use it together, and how also we need to be very sure whether what you're doing is ethically right or not, So the aim will be to nurture, future citizen. You all are future citizens, and who will lead. We all want you all to lead very purposeful life, and also work towards an equitable world where you also don't, create a bridge between have and have nots. And when you're doing it, when you're creating an equitable world, you need to be courageous. You need to have compassion, also wisdom, So if you have these three attributes, courage, compassion, and wisdom, they'll be like your lodestone. They'll be like a magnet. People will be drawn towards you because you have these three attributes, and these three attributes are going to take you to a long way in your journey, in your future journey. So what are the key competencies of SCL? So there are 5 main ones, and some of the elements may be interlinked as we go through by and by. So first one is self-awareness. The second is self-management. Third is social awareness. Fourth is relationship skills. And the last one is responsible decision-making skills. So we'll go one by one into all of these competencies. So self-awareness. What is self-awareness? So it is like the ability to understand yourself, consciously be aware of your personality, your emotions, your behavior, and what you need in life. So it's like understanding your positive traits as well as recognizing your shortcomings, your negativity. So sometimes we push all these negativities under the carpet, saying, no, I don't want them to, I'm okay with what I am. But it's very important to recognize some of these negative tendencies in your life, and also not only becoming aware of these negative tendencies or negative attributes, but also wanting to make a shift from there. I wanting to change, wanting to remove those negative tendencies. And that is what a growth mindset is, that I need to get over this tendency which keeps troubling me all the time, which is there all the time. I'm getting overwhelmed by negativity. So what I need to do, so very fact that you are recognizing those negative tendencies and wanting to get rid of them, instead of blaming people around you, but taking responsibility of your own life, and wanting to grow, that I need to get over this tendency of whatever, I am feeling right now. I'm irritable. You may be irritable because somebody came and irritated you, or you may be angry because somebody made you angry by saying something nasty. But remember, these tendencies are inside you, and they surface because some external stimulus, somebody came from outside and evoked them. So those people are actually highlighting those tendencies that are latent inside you. and they are making you recognize that these are my tendencies and they come very frequently up. What do I need to do? I need to get over them. I need to, have, what should I say, control over them, and so when you are thinking towards improving yourself, that is called a growth mindset. Instead of blaming people around you, wanting to grow, wanting to become a better person, that is what a growth mindset is. Self-management is about managing your emotions, controlling your impulses, and setting goals. So there are many management techniques that we can practice in our day-to-day life. How do I, when somebody comes and makes me angry, or I'm feeling frustrated, what do I need to do? So there are many tools that can help you manage your emotions. And anything that is done with a calm mind will produce a better effect than done, when using, done when you are working with your emotions on, when you are reacting to a situation. So very important. For instance, somebody comes and says something that is very nasty, and that is not something so what do? Do you take it personally, or because you are emotionally more evolved, you will say, I bin it. That's not me. So there's a mental dustbin in you that you bin it. Or when you're angry, and it's very natural to have these emotions. It's not that, we can't be evolved people all the time and have no emotions. We do have these emotions of being anger, being, frustrated, being irritable. So how do you manage it? So sometimes when you're angry, what do? Do you take action straight away, or do you calm yourself down, do some breathing exercises, or, take a short break from whatever you are doing, or connect with somebody who you feel gives you positive vibes or advice. So very important. These are tools. You'll have to, if I have more sessions with you, I can also work with you all on, developing these tools. But you need these tools to manage your emotions. And once you are in control of your emotion, you're able to discern what is right or wrong, or take the right decision or right course of action in whatever you are doing. So self-management is very important, taking control of your emotions. Impulses, sometimes we are very impulsive, we just, without thinking twice, we make a hasty decision. So we need to be very mindful of these tendencies that are there. And goal setting, very important to have goals in front of you and go for those big dreams. And how you go it is also very important. So I'll go through it, as we go across other slides. I'll be discussing goal settings also with you all. So social awareness, the third important component of socio-emotional learning is social awareness. It is about seeing things from other people's perspective, and showing empathy, showing resilience, and appreciating diversity. So it's about being aware of your surroundings, and most importantly, how you fit in that surrounding, and how you contribute, to community and the world around you, and what you need from that world. It's not what you need is okay, what you need, but it should not be just, agreed. It has to be a win-win situation. I need this, but I need to be mindful of what others also need, or what I need should not harm somebody around me, So in the long term, I will say, when you're practicing this social awareness skill, it will also help you in to become more professional at your workplace, because you will be able to share information easily with people. You'll be able to communicate with people. You'll be able to collaborate with people, And from a personal point of view, I will say that, you'll be able to create a happy, lasting relationship with people. And when you have a happy and lasting relationship with people, what happens is, you feel fulfilled, you feel joyful, you want to, you feel, you are working in a non-threatening environment, and life becomes much more easier. Yeah. So one has to, keep adapting to changing environment, and also, consider what others are feeling. And when you work like that, you'll find that around you also there'll be less disruptive behaviors. For instance, sometimes we absolve ourselves from problems, like, oh, it doesn't concern me, I'm safe right now. But we don't realize that we all are interconnected. And we need to be part of that big problem, that how, if I were in that position, how would I have tackled it, So sometimes, okay, I got my 2 shots of Covishield or Covaxin, whatever vaccination that you got. Oh, I feel safe. No, but you need to also worry about people who are not getting it, So that's what social awareness is. It's not about just yourself. It's about also your surroundings, your society, Oh, I don't smoke, I don't drink. What are the people who are, smoking, having tobacco, so how are you kind of creating that awareness through your conversation in a subtle manner without being very pedantic about it? So very important to be socially aware, and the important components of social awareness are emotional self-awareness. Being emotionally aware is the skill behind understanding what one is feeling and how different moods, your mood can also impact those around us. So emotional awareness is a very important component of social awareness. Self-regulation, it is an art of controlling the response to emotions and also anticipating outcomes, in an effort to avoid being emotionally reactive. So very important component, I would say, self-regulation. Motivation, how to use emotional factors to achieve your personal goals. I was talking about goal setting, in the earlier domain. So very important, how you motivate yourself, what motivates you, that is very important. Try to reflect on it. What are those factors that will motivate you to, attain whatever the goals that you have set? Empathy, it is again a skill of considering the emotions and circumstances of other people. It may not concern you right now, but you don't know about tomorrow. Somehow you also might face similar situation. So it is very important to empathize, with people, with the circumstances people are we are facing. Respect is another, the fifth one, the respect, very important component. You give respect, you gain respect. You don't, you don't. You don't give, you don't get. Kindness, there's a fine line between kindness and generosity. So kindness is not being mean to people, being helpful to people in times of need. And sure enough, whatever you do, it will always come back to you. So you'll also be experiencing kindness from people around you. And listening actively, very important skill, is like, paying attention and taking time to understand what is being said. Sometimes we hear things, people have told us and we listen, but we're not listening attentively. So that is called active listening, when we put our whole being into listening and assimilating and trying to, understand what is being said. And last important component of social awareness is cooperation. You need to work with people in groups, in your environment, in surrounding, in your community. You have to work cooperatively with people around, because if you don't cooperate, nobody's going to cooperate with you when you need some kind of assistance. So social awareness is a very important domain of socio-emotional learning. The next is relationship skill. This is again, as I'm reading right now, but we will discuss it also. It is about, it is the ability to establish and maintain healthy and rewarding relationship with diverse individuals and groups. And it includes communicating clearly, listening actively, cooperating, resisting inappropriate social pressure, and negotiating conflict constructively, and seeking and offering help when needed. So what is that relationship, that skill that you need to build? For that, important component is communication, how you communicate to people. And we do talk about 21st century skills, and which is so very badly needed now. What are the 4 skills? Anybody can share with me? Anybody knows what are the 4 important 21st century skills? Anybody from the audience, from the participants? Hello? Akshit, Shikha, Prateek, anybody? What are the 4 important 21st century skills? I get no response. Yes, Akshit, come on. Let's make this session interactive. Akshit, you are on mute. You can unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself. Mehak, you can unmute yourself.
Yes,
Somebody has
ma'am, now we can do, because there were disturbance coming. So we did it purposefully. Mehak, now you can unmute yourself, beta.
Yes, ma'am. Now
Okay.
I can. Actually,
Done.
I want to say patience is very much important in today's world. Actually, the youngsters don't have patience, whether it is in corporate world or in any other field. They just want that their work should be done no matter what, by shortcut method or by long method. But they just want that their work should be done in any other way.
Anybody else?
Creativity or innovation, communication,
Communication, yes.
problem solving,
Collaboration.
collaboration,
The four
Team
C's of
spirit.
21st century skills. Communication,
ma'am, critical
Team
thinking,
spirit.
creativity,
Collaboration,
collaboration, and
Listening.
creativity,
ma'am, creativity.
that has been said. No, collaboration,
Listening skills.
Control,
And
adaptability,
control.
critical thinking.
critical thinking. Yes. So these are
Empathy,
the 4
empathy. Ma'am,
Cs.
I'll go with empathy, like one
Ma'am,
thing
knowledge.
in relationship.
Yeah, no, so I'm talking about the 21st century soft skills.
Being
So
being
the 4
compassionate.
Cs, the 4 C's, so that is communication, creativity, collaboration, and critical thinking.
Team
So,
spirit.
yes, team spirit. So communication is so very important, it is important component of relationship skills. And if you do not communicate yourself, to people around you, they will not understand what are your needs, and you will not get what you want from them. And that is going to make you dissatisfied, and that is going to make the other person dissatisfied because you have not performed. And as a result, the whole scenario is going to be very unproductive. So be clear and seek clarity when it comes to communication. Even in your teaching, learning classes, be very clear. When you have not understood, stand up and ask, or when you are in interacting with people, you need to be very clear in what you are communicating and what they are communicating to you. You seek again, clarification. So it's very important component of relationship skill is communication. Then the second one is non-defensive listening. So what happens is, by willing to listen to what is being said by the other person. So it's very important. Sometimes, we just go off handle and we want to justify our action, or we are very defensive. But, we need to empathize and we need to understand why is that person talking like that, or why is that what kind of the behavior, why is it stemming from, where is it stemming from? So you need to also see from the other person's perspective, that kind of behavior. So honesty, again, very important in relationship skills, because it is important if not to be dishonest, because sometimes people, in order to avoid conflict, try to hide information. So that is okay. Hiding information to avoid a big major confrontation is still okay, but lying is not okay, So what happens is, because you are hiding such important information, you're not divulging the truth, so it builds kind of distrust and distance, and that will not help in relationship building, that will not help in building relationship skills. And the last of all important component of relationship skill is emotional regulation, being able to manage your emotion in a relationship, it's very, very important. So these are the very 4 important components of relationship skills. The last of all is responsible decision making, and it is like making constructive choices about personal behavior and social interaction based on ethical standards, safety, and social norms. So basically, when you're making a decision, you are making a decision so that you benefit from it. But I'm using the word over here, ethical. You have to be very sure that whatever you're doing is for a good purpose. It is going to benefit not only you, but it's going to be a win-win situation for others. Sometimes people tend to become very selfish. I want to do this, I want to gain that. But in that race for I, we tend to become very selfish. And at the end, what happens is we are not happy because people around us have not benefited the way they should have, and there are unhappy people around us, and the environment becomes very, very sad, So decision making is, I would say, it's a cognitive process, because it helps you to map out consequences of your action. I will use the word cognitive. You're using your mind, you're using your brain, you're using your intellect. You're also mapping consequences. अगर मैंने ये किया तो ये हो जाएगा. अगर मैंने ये नहीं किया तो ये नहीं होएगा. So we are mapping the consequences. So it allows you, responsible decision making skill, because you're using your cognitive process. It allows you to reach out the best course of action that will help you achieve your goals, and objectives. So what are the skills needed for responsible decision making? Problem solving skill, what is your attitude towards problem? You face a problem, arey baap re, itna bada problem, how am I going to solve it? Oh, I'll ask somebody's help, or you take the easy way out. So is that going to help you in the long run? No. So you face the problem, weigh the pros and the cons of solutions that you are chalking out, and take action with a calm mind. And whatever be the consequence, you will benefit because you have faced that problem. You have grown as a person because you faced that problem, Then leadership skill, take lead. You don't hide behind the scene. Okay, this problem I'm not running to my friend or anybody. This is my problem. I will take the lead in it and I'm going to solve it. And I'm going to set an example by solving it, So that is very important. Reasoning, third important skill is reasoning. When you weigh the pros and the cons, and you don't make a hasty decision, So that is why I use the word cognitive process, because you're using your mind, you're using your mental faculties, and you're not working in a haste. Intuition, sometimes you get that gut feeling. You also have this kind of gut feeling, this is not right, because your values are there in place, So very important to have your values in place. And if your values are in place, if you have strong values, you will be able to discern the right from wrong. This is a wrong decision because it is going to harm so many other people, So intuition is very important. Teamwork, when you collaborate with people, you get better ideas. Sometimes, you have to take decision in a group work. So you don't stand for your decision. You take other people's ideas also. So that is called teamwork. Emotional intelligence, you take decision without getting emotions in the way. You are taking decision with a calm mind. You're not reacting, So that is very important. And of course, time management, that goes without saying. So that is the 5 domains that we covered and the important components and skills of the 5 domains. I'll go through it once again at the end, just to have a quick recap. So there are many reasons why we need to understand what SCL is all about, because it helps not only in other areas, but also academically, because a sound mind will also produce good results, Lowering stress levels, it'll help you lessen your whatever challenges, stress you are feeling. Negative behaviors will get reduced because you are working on yourself. Soft skills will improve because you're working on your relationship skills. So your soft skills will definitely improve. Positive relationships and attitudes, because you are working towards building good relationship skills. You're working towards being socially aware, and you're working towards collaborating with others. So naturally, these things are going to help you in overall progress in your life, So the 5 components, so 5 benefits, very straight takeaway benefits from there. You'll be able to respond and recognize emotions, think rightly in challenging situations, positive goals, because you'll be able to discern right from wrong, communicate effectively, and lastly, which is so very important in a student's life, that is making responsible decisions. Yeah, so these are the benefits of SCL, and there's a survey that was done, and found out that on students, that how over 1 year's time of getting SCL embedded in your curriculum, students benefited from SCL, from these 5 domains of SCL. So self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making skills. So these are the results. The data is over here. 9% improves pro-social behavior, 9% improvement in attitudes about self and others, 9% reduction in problem behaviors, 10% reduction in emotional distress, 11% increase in standardized achievement test scores, and 23%, which is so very important and much needed for overall growth, in socio-emotional skills, So this was a survey that was done. And I'll just skip through this right now. So I now want to tell you a story about a grass-eating tiger. So have you heard of tigers eating grass? Have you heard of tigers eating grass? आज मैं आपको ग्रास ईटिंग टाइगर की स्टोरी सुनाऊंगी. Okay, so this is a parable. So it's about a very hungry tigress who goes out hunting one day, and she's pregnant. And when she finds a herd of goats, so she goes and attacks the herd. And because she's very tired and she's very irritable, so while attacking, she loses her balance, and of course the herd of goats, they run away, and she falls and she dies, and in the process she gives birth to a cub. Now now she's dead and the cub is there. When the goats return to the field and they find a motherless newborn, and they decide to adopt this cub. Okay, and this cub, जो lion का जो बच्चा है, he grows up behaving like the goat, and he eats grass the way the goats do, and he believes himself to be a goat. He even bleats like a goat. He doesn't roar like a cub, but he bleats. Goat bleat करती हैं. So one day what happened was, when this cub was wandering by himself, he comes in the jungle, he comes face to face with a big tiger. So the tiger stares at him, and he also stares because he finds some kind of affinity with that tiger. So the tiger tells him that and he doesn't know how to react. So the tiger looks at him, and tiger tells him, what is wrong with you? So why are you behaving like that? He says, there's nothing wrong with me. I am a goat. So the tiger says, no, you are not. You are not a goat. You are a tiger. You are a tiger's cub. So he says, no, I'm a goat. So tiger says, okay, come with me. And he takes him over to a pond. So the pond has that still water, and he makes him look at his reflection in the water. So when the cub looks at the reflection of that big tiger, he's very confused because he finds a tiger looking like him, So then he kind of, starts agreeing to whatever that tiger is telling him. Until then, he was being defiant. So the tiger says, come with me, मैं तुमको अपने den लेके जाऊंगा. तो बड़ा hesitatingly एक tiger के den में जाता है. So tiger gives him a piece of meat in the den. So the cub refuses. He says, I'm a vegetarian, you know, मैं नहीं खाता हूँ, meat नहीं खाता हूँ. So tiger coaxes him, you know, he says, खा लो, थोड़ा सा खा लो. So, but because he had seen the tiger's reflection in the pond and he felt he was kind of, you know, felt a close affinity towards the tiger. So he says, ठीक है, ये बोल रहा तो मेरी तरह दिखता भी है, तो बोल रहा है खा ले. So he takes that first bite, you know. This is a parable. So, you know, it says that when he took the first bite and the nutrient of the meat went into his bloodstream. So what happened? पहले तो इसने choke किया, but after a while, when the meat enters his bloodstream, he begins, the cub begins to stretch. Then he draws his claws out. जैसे tiger लोग करते हैं. अभी तक तो goat की तरह behave कर रहा था. Then he opens his mouth wide. बड़ा सा मुंह खुलता है. And he lets out a roar. अभी तक तो वो bleed कर रहा था. अब वो roar कर रहा है. So this is a roar of awakening, you know. And this is what, you know, we all feel what we are right now. हम लोग अपने close छोटे से mind से सोचते हैं कि ये हम लोग यही हैं जो हम behave कर रहे हैं. But we don't know the potential we have until something comes in front of us and challenges us. So this is called the roar of awakening. So this was the roar of awakening for that tiger cub, you know. He is not a goat, he's a tiger, you know, and he can do so much more than just bleat, you know. So also this a powerful, this, you know, something very, very powerful in shifting from our self-image. जो हमारी self-image होती है, from a personality with, you know, you think you are, consciously you think you are, but realizing that you are something much more than what you are. So this is what roar of awakening is. So all of us, you know, in our life, we do face challenging situations. It's always good to face challenges, face difficult people also in your life, because they are the ones who are going to make you grow, you know. And any problem, you know, sometimes we feel कि you know, उसकी life इतनी smooth चल रही है, मेरे friend की life, उसकी family life भी smooth चल रही है. Why am I facing so many problems in my personal lives or in my family? Why am I born to this family? But there's always a reason why, you know. And instead of begrudging your life, take stock of situation. Yes, this is the problem, and I know that I can tackle it. And I also have, you know, the power in me, the potential in me to rise up to the situation. And once you rise up to the situation, you realize, oh, I can do it, you know. So self-awareness is the ability to understand yourself and to consciously be aware of your personality, emotions, behavior, and necessities in life. So very important, you know, to be a self-aware person. So the next is, why do I need to be to know about self-awareness? आप लोग सोच भी रहे होंगे कि 5 domains में ma'am only is talking about self-awareness, you know. So if you are a student and who feels that, you know, you are struggling to stay motivated in the current scenario, or you are struggling to maintain a positive attitude, or you have certain poor habits, then I would say you are in dire need of self-awareness. Instead of feeling, pitying yourself, your circumstances, or belittling yourself, जो आपको ये feeling आ रही है, that is the reason why you need to know about self-awareness, you know. And how does it benefit us? So, you know, there are many reasons why it benefits us. I know this is lecture, but we'll come to it. You'll get to know by and by as we go further down the slides. It helps you to make important choices, maintain a positive attitude and healthy habits. And those who struggle in areas of self-awareness, you know, they always land up making poor decisions in life, have poor habits, and they don't progress in life. They become regressive in life. So none of us attending this session want to regress in life. Yes or no? We all want to progress in life?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
So gaining self-awareness. Yes, very good. I can hear so many voices now. Very good. So if you are a self-aware person, you'll think better, you'll understand more, you'll remember more, and nothing is more important than knowing yourself and what you want out of life, because you're the only one. You have the control over your every aspect of your life. No, you are the director, actor, producer of your life. And this is, you are acting on the stage of life right now. I'm being a little philosophical over here. You are acting on the stage of life, and you are the actor, director, producer of your life. So how you take your life, it's very important in which direction. So for that, you need to be a very self-aware person, and all the famous people, जिनके बारे में हम पढ़ते हैं, पढ़ चुके हैं और पढ़ते हैं अभी भी, they were highly self-aware people. They knew their strengths and they also knew their weaknesses, and they worked over their weaknesses to become successful in life. So helping self-awareness can support you in areas such as keeping you focused on your goals, prioritizing whatever you're doing. Right now you're studying, so that is your priority, and maintaining a positive mindset. Sometimes what happens is you face a challenge and you say, मैं तो इतना अच्छा हो रहा था मेरी लाइफ में, ये क्या आ गया, ये क्यों आ गया? There must be a reason. Be positive about challenges also. There's a challenge in your life to make you grow. Every challenge makes you grow. So ये challenge आया तो take it with a positive mindset. They say ना, एक कहावत है, every cloud has a silver lining. तो हर प्रॉब्लम के पीछे एक सॉल्यूशन होता है. आफ्टर एवरी टनल देयर इज सनलाइट, देयर इज अ लाइट एट द एंड ऑफ द टनल. सो ऑल्सो चैलेंजेस के साथ एक ग्रोथ होती है, एक सक्सेस होता है. So these are many benefits. I'll share with you all later. I can pass it to ma'am so you can go through these the benefits of self-awareness. But I'll just last sentence I'm going to read out is, it will help you become a better person, and understand yourself, your desires, your needs. And now my next slide talks about, it's easy to say right now, some of you may be thinking, बहुत lecture हो गया है self-awareness के बारे में, but मेरे साथ नहीं होगा. I can never be a self-aware person. Okay, so wrong. All of you can be highly self-aware people, So you can and do anything that you set your mind to. So they say, where there's a will, there's a way. So you may not be able to do right away, but remember, self-awareness is work in process. It doesn't happen overnight. It needs a lot of practice. I mean, I can say that I'm still working on myself, So while you're trying to gain self-awareness, you're going to be facing struggles, challenges, and difficulties. But remember, they are the ones to make you grow, evolve, achieve success in life, So as you are on your journey at Jaipuria Business School, I will urge all of you sitting over here attending this lecture to gain self-awareness. I'll tell you the tools to gain self-awareness at the end. Discover who you are, study your habits, understand what your personality is like, what makes you tick, your likes and dislikes, and so on. So please, this is a humble request and urge to work on yourself, and you'll see how you're going to benefit from this. So this is the 5 domains that I discussed, and the whole theory of social emotional learning is actually based on the study of a very famous psychologist called Daniel Goleman. So I picked up a lot of whatever stuff that I shared was from him. So I wanted to share with you that this is where I picked up most of the material for today's presentation. So I want to just pay tribute to him that, this is how we need to work on ourselves so that we can become a better us. So if you have, so he was the one who spoke about self-awareness, and he said that self-awareness is ability to monitor our inner world, our thoughts and feelings. And he said that having a deep understanding of your strengths, your limitations, and your values and motives are actually going to help you improve yourself. So people with high self-esteem are actually very honest about themselves, with themselves and about themselves. They are realistic. They're neither overcritical or they are neither over-optimistic. So we need to, never belittle ourselves, and we need to never be a narcissist or praise ourselves too much, because we are all evolving. All of us are work in progress. Now here, I want you all to take out a sheet of paper. I want all of you to do this activity with me. Take out a sheet of paper. Can you tear it into 10 strips? Can I hear your responses, whether you're doing it or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So take out a strip of paper.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, good.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, tear it into 10 strips. Tear किया सब लोगों ने? Because I want to see the 10 strips. Camera on. This activity is called ranking traits. Camera on and show me that strips, please. Have you taken out the 10 strips? Hello? Am
Yes,
I
ma'am,
audible?
doing.
Yes, ma'am.
एक पेपर लो और उस पेपर के 10 स्ट्रिप्स फाड़ दो. Done it? कर लिया?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. सबने कर लिया?
No, ma'am. Wait.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It is done.
और ये जो स्ट्रिप्स है ना, ये बाद में वर्तिका मैम को देंगे हम लास्ट में, अभी नहीं, जब आप कॉलेज ज्वाइन करोगे इन अ फिजिकल सेटिंग. ओके ओके. आप क्या करो, ये जो 10 स्ट्रिप्स हैं, एक एक स्ट्रिप में राइट डाउन अ वर्ड ऑफ फ्रेज दैट डिस्क्राइब्स यू. It can be positive, it can be negative. So आप start with something in a positive way.
So students, ma'am, we have few, like 4 of them who are sitting in the class, and Kanchana ma'am is like taking care of them. So the students who are sitting in the class, they can do it in the class and submit it to Kanchana ma'am.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yes. And the rest can keep it. Actually, this is their own exercise. They don't have to share it with teachers.
Okay.
This is a ranking trait for themselves. So
Sure.
I am asking them to write a word or phrase that describes them. It can be positive. Also towards the end, it can be negative. So what you like most can be at the top, and what you like least about yourself can be at the bottom. Again, I'm repeating, and I want everyone to participate because nobody is going to be checking your answers. This is a self-awareness exercise. So you take 10 strips, or in each strip you write something, a word or a phrase that describes you the best, and arrange the trait according to what you like most about yourself to the ones what you like the least about yourself. And once you've done it, arrange it, and please tell me whether you've done it or not. I want verbal response. You're not sharing with anybody, so be very candid about it. Be very honest with yourself. If there are few positives about you, let it be. It's all right. And if you feel there are more negatives about you, let it be. But just put it in those 10 strips and arrange the strips according to what you like most about yourself and least at the bottom. Another 2 minutes, it should be ready. Another 2 minutes, it should be ready.
चल रहा है
Komal, Mehak, Anirudh, Ayushi. Are you through? Have you done it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Have you
Done,
arranged
done.
the traits? Have
Yes,
you
ma'am,
arranged the traits?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a minute, ma'am.
कैसा लग रहा है? Tell me, how are you feeling when you're writing about yourself on strips? About your word or phrase that describes you?
a mixed feeling, ma'am.
Mixed feeling? Something you've never done before.
A
पहले
bit
किया है
difficult task.
ऐसा? It's a difficult task, not to getting to know yourself.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, arrange कर लिया आपने
Yes, ma'am.
अपने सारे positive attributes, positive, negative, और 10 strips में arrange कर लिए according to what you like most at the top and what you like least about yourself at the bottom. कर लिया है?
Ma'am, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. आप लोग ना, when I talk to you all, please give me your response. Okay. So
Yes,
do you
ma'am.
like what you see about yourself? I want everybody
Ma'am.
to answer. Do you like what you see about yourself?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Good. Do you want to keep all those traits with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, be honest
No,
here.
ma'am.
Do you want to keep all the traits with you?
Yes,
No,
ma'am.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Not all.
There is something I don't want to keep it.
Not
Okay.
all.
Okay. ठीक है. Now look at those 10 traits and give up one trait. एक निकाल दो. निकाल के अलग रख दो. You had arranged 10 of them. Remove one from the 10. Now there are 9 of them. Just
Yes,
remove
ma'am.
it.
Okay.
Okay.
Done, ma'am.
Remove कर दिया?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
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 Yes,
अब
ma'am.
बताओ.
Ma'am.
Now just
Noted, ma'am. Yes.
okay. Now tell me, after you have removed that trait from your life, from yourself, the lack of it, does it affect you? Are you feeling anything कि ये trait मेरे life से चला गया है?
No, ma'am.
Any
Not really.
feeling?
No, ma'am.
Any feeling?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No feeling. Okay. No
It is
feeling
yes.
for the first trait.
Yes,
Be
ma'am.
honest. हाँ, कोई आपका देख नहीं रहा है, इसलिए it's better to be very honest in giving your responses. अब आप second trait निकालिए. Second trait वो 9 जो बचे थे उसमें से second trait जो एक trait निकाल लो, कोई सा भी निकाल के अलग कर दो. अब 8 traits बचे. Any feeling after you've removed this? Bad feeling, good feeling,
Ma'am,
no feeling.
good feeling, ma'am. Good feeling because
Good
Ma'am,
feeling क्यों? आपने
I've
negative
taken out-
trait निकाला है? Good
Yes,
feeling
ma'am.
because you.
Sense of pleasure.
ma'am, because I have taken negative.
Okay, you took out the negative, so you're feeling good. Okay, now remove the third trait. Now remove the third trait. अब आपके पास 7 बचे खाली.
Yes, ma'am.
There are 7 of them now. Now remove the fourth trait. Please keep doing as and when I direct you to do. Remove the fourth trait.
I'm done.
Okay. Remove the fifth trait.
Done, ma'am.
Done.
Remove the sixth trait. How many remaining now from the main
Four.
from the main
Four.
thing presentation?
4, ma'am.
Four.
4 ma'am.
अब आप ये हो जो 4 बचे हैं, हाउ आर यू फीलिंग नाउ, टेल मी.
Good.
Positive.
अब 4 ट्रेड बचे हैं आपके पास, बाकी आपने 6 निकाल दिए. सो हाउ आर यू फीलिंग? Are you feeling complete? Are you feeling complete?
Ma'am, that is
Are you
like
feeling
feeling.
incomplete?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So some people are feeling very complete because they removed all the negative traits. Some people are feeling incomplete because उन्होंने कुछ positives भी निकाल दिए उसमें से. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes, ma'am.
in any case, जो 4 बचे हैं is not your real self, because you know that's only 1/4 of what 1/4 of what you are. Okay. Now bring those 6 traits back to the main presentation.
Only the 6.
All 6 of them वापस ले आओ. 10 traits आ गए.
Yes, ma'am.
कर दिया?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me, in this exercise, which is a very simple exercise, yes, what did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about yourself?
Ma'am, we
We
can
have
say
to leave
that it is about our mentality that we think about ourselves. We cannot let ourselves down towards it. We have to think and analyze what our weaknesses is and how we can improve that.
Very good. Who else will share? Very good. Very good.
We all have positives and negatives in us, which makes us complete.
Or anybody else wants to share? It makes you aware, isn't it? It makes you aware of your attributes in life. आप में एक अवेयरनेस आ रही है कि मेरे में ये भी है, ये पॉजिटिव एट्रीब्यूट्स भी हैं, नेगेटिव एट्रीब्यूट्स भी हैं. और जब व्हेन आई टोल्ड यू टू रिमूव द फर्स्ट ट्रेट, सबसे पहले आपने नेगेटिव रिमूव किया होगा. एम आई राइट?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
or no?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So that means all students sitting over here have growth mindset. They want to do away with, they recognize, you all are recognizing that these are the negative attributes in your life and you want to get rid of it. That means you have a growth mindset. Very good set of students we have today.
Thank
That
you.
they have growth mindset. I come to the next slide now. What happened to that slide? Okay.
आके mute कर लो बेटा अपने आप को.
Is my slide, is my PPT visible to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
One sec.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what we did was about a simple exercise about self-awareness, where we recognize our positives and negatives. And we also have this, the very fact that we acknowledged some of the negative tendencies and we removed it. That means we have a growth mindset and we want to evolve. We want to better ourselves. Okay. So here is something very interesting, which I'll show the video also of it later. It's called Johari window. It's named after 2 scientists, Joseph Luft and Harrington Ingham or somebody, I don't know his second name. So what he did was, this was a technique to help people become better, to understand themselves better, and also to perceive, to understand how others perceive you, So this is it's 4 panes of a window, and it has 4 quadrants. Open self, that is what information about you, about yourself, but the attributes that you wrote, and also what others know about you, So these are your traits and what people also know you. हाँ, ये तो ऐसा ही है. जो तुमको मालूम है वो औरों को भी आपके बारे में मालूम है. That is called the open self. Okay. Now the second pane is the blind self. So it is about you, जो आपको नहीं मालूम है, others know about you. You feel, oh, I'm very intelligent, but others will say, हाँ, अपने आप को बहुत intelligent समझता है, पर है बहुत बेवकूफ, और ये इसके बस की बात नहीं है, ये कर तो रहा है पर इसकी बस की बात नहीं है, इसमें ये टेंडेंसीज है, इसको गुस्सा आता है एंड यू थिंक यू डोंट हैव इट विद यू बट अदर्स नो बिकॉज दे हैव सीन यू, दे हैव ऑब्जर्व्ड यू. So this is called the blind self, or this is the blind spot. Okay, then this is a hidden self, the third one, third pain. It is something that some information about you which you want to just keep it to yourself and you don't want the others to know. This is called the hidden self. And this is the unknown self of you, जो आपको भी नहीं मालूम है और औरों को भी नहीं मालूम है आपके बारे में. This is unknown self. Okay, so this is the open self which you know about yourself and others also know about yourself. This is the blind spot which you don't know about, few things you don't know about yourself, but others know about yourself. Hidden self is something that only you know about yourself. आपने किसी के साथ शेयर ही नहीं किया है वो चीजें. That is hidden self and unknown self. So what Johari window talks about is that the more we communicate with people, the more we interact with people, the more SEL skills that we develop, we'll find that our open self, ये जो आपका ये sorry, one sec, जो आपका open self है, it will increase in size. ये ब्लाइंड सेल्फ की तरफ आएगा क्योंकि आपको फीडबैक भी मिल रही है लोगों की, आप ओपन हो गए लोगों के साथ, यू आर कम्युनिकेटिंग एंड व्हेन यू कम्युनिकेट विद पीपल यू आल्सो गेन लॉट ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट योरसेल्फ. यू नो, आई कैन कम्युनिकेट वेल, आई एम गिविंग राइट इंफॉर्मेशन एंड द वे द पर्सन इज परसीविंग, यू नो, योर रिएक्शंस or your in your communication. So your blinds, you get to understand yourself, your certain blind spots are exposed. Okay, and your hidden self also is exposed. So what happens is this window becomes bigger and bigger, and this I'll show it to you in your video in the next slide. So your unknown self जो है, इससे काफी चीजें बाहर निकल के आती हैं, and this is actually a very important pain of the inner window because हमारे जितने भी hidden potential है इससे बाहर निकल के आते हैं. So Johari window is a very important technique to understand yourself and also to perceive how other people understand. And when you communicate with them and you get feedback from them, how you grow as a person and how your hidden potential until now they were latent inside you come out, and how you evolve and grow as a person. So just have all of you, I want you all to sit back and relax and watch this video on Johari window, which I just explained a little while
The
ago.
Johari window. The importance of feedback can be illustrated through the concept of the Johari window. Johari window is a model created in 1955 by two American psychologists, Joseph Left and Harrington Ingham, hence the name. It is used to help people improve self-awareness and mutual understanding between individuals within a group. The Johari window consists of 4 quadrants: the open self, blind self, hidden self, and unknown self, which correspond to the relationship between ourselves and others. The open self is the part of ourselves which we are aware of and are known to others. We operate within this area naturally. This is the part of us which is an open book. The hidden self is the part of ourselves which we feel are too private to share with others because they may also be embarrassing in some way. People may also be scared of discussing these areas due to feelings of vulnerability. The blind self is the part of ourselves which we do not know about, but others can see. It may be something that we imagine ourselves to be, but others do not observe in us at all. For example, a person who thinks that he is intelligent may in reality not actually be seen by others that way. Finally, the unknown self is the part of ourselves which nobody, not even ourselves, know about. This area is often known as our human potential. This may include abilities that are underestimated or untested due to a lack of opportunity, encouragement, confidence, or training. Uncovering this area may lead to the discovery of hidden talent. Note that in real life, these 4 quadrants are never equal in size and often change over time. When it comes to leadership development, we often want to increase people's open area. This is because people who have a large open area are able to inspire trust, are approachable and easy to talk to, and are seen as people who communicate openly and get along well with others. Established leaders will have larger open areas than new leaders, and they should help to facilitate increasing the size of new leaders' open areas. This is done through two things, self-disclosure and feedback. Self-disclosure expands the open area downward, decreasing the size of the hidden area. Established leaders can help new leaders expand their open area into the hidden area by asking personal questions. Feedback, on the other hand, expands the open area to the right, decreasing the size of the blind area. This is where 360 feedback comes in. In this instance, team members should strive to help leaders to expand their open area by offering constructive feedback. Now you can see why feedback is so important in leadership development. Trust leads to better teams, which means a better organization for everyone.
So my last slide is on self-awareness again. It's a recapitulation of how you can work towards becoming more self-aware person. So here it
Be
is.
more self-aware. 5 ways to improve your self-awareness. Who are you? Do you really know yourself? Many people think that they do, but it's best to look around and rethink that. Truly getting to know yourself is the only way to change your actions so that you can grow. Hi, my name is Joy, and today I'll show you how 5 simple habits can take you on a self-discovery journey that will change your direction in life. Ready? Let's go. A clear understanding of who you are is called self-awareness. That includes your personality.
Oh God, sorry. I'm sorry about this, 1 sec.
Be more self-aware. 5 ways to improve your self-awareness. Who are you? Do you really know yourself? Many people think that they do, but it's best to look around and rethink that. Truly getting to know yourself is the only way to change your actions so that you can grow. Hi, my name is Joy, and today I'll show you how 5 simple habits can take you on a self-discovery journey that will change your direction in life. Ready? Let's go. A clear understanding of who you are is called self-awareness. That includes your personality and behavior, your strengths and weaknesses, your beliefs and motivations. Awareness is the beginning of the life that you want. The journey of becoming self-aware transforms the way you think and feel, boosting your emotional intelligence. From there, you can easily pinpoint your passions, take control of your actions, and make the necessary changes to get the outcomes you desire. What's more, it becomes easier to understand other people and how they perceive you in return. So, what you should keep in mind is that self-awareness makes you the master of your own future, which means a happier and more successful life. Self-awareness is crucial to pretty much everything. You're a leader. Self-awareness shapes a strong character with the ability to lead with purpose, trust, and consideration, a creator of a more supportive business culture. If you're a social worker, you have to be aware of your own biases when dealing with clients so that you treat everyone equally. Self-awareness is also an essential part of counseling or nursing. You can even find it at school. When teachers work with students to train them to reflect and evaluate themselves, students become more self-reliant, productive, and flexible. Do you see how important self-awareness truly is? Then let me tell you how you can become a more self-aware version of you. 1. Look at yourself objectively by performing daily self-reflection. Trying to see your real self can be a very difficult process, but it can also be extremely rewarding. That's how you learn to accept and improve yourself in the future. So, what is an easy way to get started with this? First, write out the things that you're good at, that you need to improve, and the things that you're most proud of. Also, think about your childhood and what made you happy back then. What changed and why? Finally, set aside some time to honestly look at yourself as a person and a leader. If possible, do it daily. In our demanding business world, daily self-reflection is easier said than done, but committing to just 15 minutes in a quiet place every day already makes a world of difference. Self-reflection is most effective with the help of a little tool, and that is 2. Keep a journal. Grab a journal and write anything. When you put your thoughts down on paper, your mind becomes clearer and more open to new information and ideas. Every night, write in your journal your feelings, successes, and failures of the day. This will help you grow and move forward in your achievements. As you self-reflect, ask yourself, can I do more to help the people around me? What are my values? What is most important to me right now? 3. Practice meditation and other mindfulness habits. Meditation is the practice of improving your mindful awareness. It's a moment of peaceful reflection that will help you find greater clarity. During your meditations, you may come up with questions like, what is your goal? What are you doing that is working? What are you doing that is holding you back? How can you change your process for the better? Most types of meditation focus on the breath, but it doesn't have to be formal. You're already meditating when carrying out everyday tasks that give you a sense of serenity, such as washing dishes, going for a run, or going to church. 4. Take personality and psychometric tests. Personality and psychometric tests, such as the Myers-Briggs test or the predictive index, help you understand what traits you have. And hey, there's no right or wrong solutions to these tests. Instead, your answers will show you a set of characteristics that closely describe you relative to other people. 5. Ask for feedback at home and at work. How are we supposed to know what other people think of us? We have to listen to the observations of our peers and mentors and let them play the role of an honest mirror. Tell your friends you're looking for open and critical perspectives. Make sure they know that they are helping, not hurting you. Allow them to feel safe to confess their views. Share your concerns about your behavior and ask friends to warn you when your bad habits show up. For example, if you know you tend to one-up people when they're telling stories, have your friends discreetly let you know so you can stop. At work, get feedback. If your company doesn't provide a formal way to do this, try to implement one. A constructive and well-done feedback allows us to self-reflect on our own rights and wrongs. Once it's done, write down your main takeaways, any surprising strengths and weaknesses that you did not realize you had before. So, what do you think? Can you commit to at least a couple of those habits? Yes, this process takes time and effort. Self-discovery may take years and input from many people around you, but this journey shows you a whole new perspective on life. Besides, these habits can effectively improve your relationship with yourself and others. Well, how do you really see yourself? How do you become a self-aware person? Feel free to share your own tips and breakthroughs in the comments down below. Our channel is here to
So this was all about self-awareness and techniques to build your own self-awareness. Now we have a Q&A round. Anybody has any question?
Any questions?
Any questions? Vartika ma'am,
Sure,
this is
sure,
a
ji, ma'am.
task. This is a task I'm giving to students.
Ji.
They have to create a me commercial, and each student to write 2 or 3 minutes television commercial, and they need to. The topic is why someone should hire him or her. Okay,
Ji.
so they can take a click of this slide. And this work, I would like to see their work maybe sometimes next week. After this session, I think they will work on their SCL skills.
Ji, ji, ma'am.
So have you all taken a picture of this? A click of this? Create a me commercial?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I would like to see the responses in the next week. Vartika ma'am is going to be sharing it with me.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah. So that was all for today on SCL from me. And anybody has any questions or any doubt or any query?
Yes, ma'am. Can you please tell me like how to maintain emotional balance?
Yeah, so this, that's a very good question. And it is a very integral part of SCL, I would say. So we had spoken about the second domain, that was self-management. So this doesn't happen overnight. You need to practice it, how you take control over your emotions, so regulation of your emotions. What are the techniques? So there are many techniques to do it. So maybe when we have one-on-one session, you'll work on it. But the very fact that you recognize those tendencies that come very frequently, and that gives way to that kind of emotion, so that is also a victory in itself, that you have recognized that tendency. But the next step is, how do I regulate it? How do I control it? What are the tools needed? If I'm angry, how do I react? How do I tackle the situation? I need to do some deep breathing exercises, or I need to count 1 to 10 before I give a response, or I need to see from the other person's perspective, why that person made me behave the way he did. These were my shortcomings, my tendencies. So, SCL also makes you understand your tendencies, which are latent within you, and also gives you an understanding, a complete understanding of your own self, that this is your life, and how you want to take it forward, and how you can, be in charge of your life and not blame people around you or your circumstances. As I said a little while ago, you're the actor, director, producer of your own life. So how do you manage it? So self-awareness is very important. That is why I only focused on self-awareness. Maybe when we have a next session, we'll work on self-management. So then I'll share various tools, like the way we did on the ranking traits today. So we'll do some exercises on some tools that you can use to manage or regulate your emotions.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for a wonderful session. And now we all got to know that how important social emotional learning. This trait is very thoughtful. I also mentioned it. It's sought by the employers, because they say that we teach hard skills, but soft skills it's very difficult to teach.
Especially at times like this, difficult to navigate through a very complex world. So you need these skills in place. You need all these 5 domains that I discussed are very, very important. And as I shared earlier, we all are work in progress. So it will not happen overnight. It'll take time. But the more you practice, the more self-aware you're going to become. And the tendencies that are inside you will be able to recognize and be able to take control of them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the session, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.